Hey there, welcome to Coding with Drew. In this section, we're going to learn about nano and a couple subcommands that'll help you out. Okay, so what is nano? Nano is a simple IDE or visual editor like what you would see with Visual Studio Code. Now, if I wanted to edit this Bacon Ipsum text, I could do open Bacon Ipsum and it'll open a text editor, which is the default for anything with a file extension .txt. I could also do code dot or code bacon ipsum .txt, and this would open up Visual Studio Code. And if it didn't, you can install that command by opening Visual Studio Code and pressing Command P and then greater than sign and type in path. And then you'll see this command install code command in path. If you click it, it'll install it, and then this code command will work. And code will open up in Visual Studio Code whatever you provide it. So typically what I do is I move into the directory that I want to work in, and then I do code space dot, and it'll open up all the files that are in that directory. So these are valid ways to edit a file, but if you're on a remote server using SSH, and we don't know anything about SSH yet, so it's okay, but there's cases where you don't have access to a code editor, and this is where Nano and Vim step in. I don't want to talk about Vim. Vim is way too complicated for a new user to get familiar with, and I struggle with it. But Nano is way easier. So, as always, with any new command, we're going to open up man and go to nano, N-A-N-O. All right. So what it is a simple text editor from the Alpine Composer. Alpine is a form of Linux. There's not a whole lot of options. You can change the colors and do some basic options that I've never had the use case for, but know that they're there. All right, so I'm going to close this, and we're going to open our Bacon Ipsum file in nano bacon ipsum.txt. All right, so now we're in Nano. Will open up a brand new kind of terminal thing that you can't just move around. This is an editor. So if I start adding text here, it will appear on the screen wherever my cursor is. And you can use your touchpad to scroll up or down. The mouse wheel does not work, as you can see. You can use Control C to see what line of code that you're on. So if I move it and then I press Control C, you can see what line I'm on. And really, the only things you need to know is how to move your cursor and edit the file. It's really a basic editor. So if I wanted to add a new line here, I just press return. There's not much else to it. But learning how to exit and save can be challenging, but not nearly as challenging as Vim. All right, so down here on the left, you can see that there's this command exit. And these commands are always visible. So this uppercase caret thing you see, that's control. So if I type Control X, it will exit. And then it'll ask me if I would like to save. And I can type in Y or N for yes or no. If I'd like to save it, I can just press Y, and then it'll prompt me what file name do I want to give it. So I can overwrite the file by leaving it as it is, or I can change it right here and there, and it'll create a new file and it'll write to it. So I'm just going to press return. Now we just edited a file and it looks slightly different, and we saved it. So if I look at ls-lah, I can see that the last update to this file was just moments ago. Well, it was just right now. All right, that's super helpful. Now, there is one file that I want us to drop into Nano and make a change. Okay, so let's do that now. Nano, and we're going to edit tilde/.zshrc. Now, this file loads when your terminal is created, and it will run everything in here, and then it will give you the prompt so you can start typing in commands and codes so that way it can interpret whatever it is. And one of the main things that you're going to see is a lot of sourcing happens. And source means that it will load whatever directory that precedes it prior to the terminal starting. And what this one's doing is it's loading power level 10K. Source is can be shorthanded as a dot. So if I come down here and I replace source with dot, it would do the exact same thing. Source is just shorthanded with dot. So let me introduce you to a new concept. It's called alias. So alias, we're going to go to the very bottom of the file and we're just going to add alias. And we're going to say alias grep. And then we're going to say equals float. And we're going to say grep dash color, or if you like that flavor, you can do it that way. And we're going to simply just put this line. Now, alias means anytime that you type in whatever follows it before an equal sign will actually be replaced with what is inside of the quote marks afterwards. So I'm not really changing the command. I'm just adding to it so that way I don't have to type in color every time. So let's save. So how do we save? We press Control X, and then do you want to save? Yes, I do. And then I'm going to press return. Now, if I grep my bacon ipsum file or the term bacon again, will it be in color? No, it will not. It will not be in color. And this is because I haven't sourced that file yet. So I need to go back and source. So dot or source. So let's do the long form so you can see it. Dot or source tilde slash dot zshrc. Okay, so now I've sourced my .zshrc, which I've just loaded. You could also do this with a simple reset. So reset command will reset your terminal, and now it'll load my prompt. After it's loaded the prompt, it has already sourced and ran this command. It sourced zshrc. Now let me grep bacon ipsum, and you can see that it automatically added the color to that command. And we can do this with lots of other commands to make shortcuts. And as this course progresses, we're going to add new aliases. We're going to add shortcuts. So a command that we're going to run into a lot in the future is kubectl, kubectl. It's spelled like this, kubectl. And it's rather cumbersome to type out for some reason. So a lot of people have shortened it to just K. And you can do that with any command. And the way you would do that is alias K equals quote mark kubectl, and this would alias it. Now this alias has to be inside of that .zshrc or it will do absolutely nothing. All right, I'm just going to backspace that out. So let's create a brand new file using nano. Okay, so nano, and then we're going to call this one pork.txt. Now that file didn't already exist, so let's go back to our browser and open up bacon ipsum and say, let's make it spicy. And we only want to do one paragraph, baconipsum.com. All right, so now I have this, and we're going to copy it. We're going to come over here and we're going to say Command V. And now we have pasted this into our editor. And if I press Control X, like this thing down here, and save, so I say Y, and I want to save it as a file pork.txt, and now I'm taken back to my terminal. I type in ls, and I can see that there's pork.txt. So if I run the same grep command, but search in pork.txt for bacon, I can see that there is a bacon right here, and it's red because I've sourced my .zshrc. Now this is one way to put text into a file using nano. Let me show you an easier way. So let's create a new file, and we're going to say echo quote, and then we're going to say this is a new file. Now, when I press return, this just puts it in the standard out. This outputs it to the terminal. I can redirect this output from going to the standard output into a file. And the way that I would do that is I'm going to press up to pull that previous command and redirect that command with a greater than sign. And that means whatever the output of this is going to actually, instead of going out here, is going to go into whatever file name I provide. So new file.txt. So this is going to create the new file. If this file already existed, it would overwrite it with this is a new file. I'm going to press return, ls. So now I can see there are 3 files. There's new file.txt, pork, and bacon ibs. Now if I cat new file.txt, I can see that it has this is a new file. Now you've just learned like a big leap in your coding journey. You've learned how to take a command like echo and save it into a file. And this is so easily repeatable with loops and other features, which we're going to get into. But right now, we're focusing on the fundamentals, the basics, and I really want you to be an expert at these. The better you are at these, the better you're going to be at programming long term, which is why we're learning these really early on. And I hope I haven't lost you, and I really want you to take everything that you've learned so far and start building some articles that you can share. And those articles would be based off of your notes, sharing what you've learned in this course. Though thus far, you have learned a lot. You have learned HTML, CSS, you've learned Bootstrap, you've learned Markdown, and you've learned some basic command line commands that will help you in your journey through Bash. Bash is so much fun. I really enjoy this language, and I do recognize that this part of the journey is a little bit painful because I'm throwing a lot at you, but I'm trying to provide it in a way that builds upon itself and is logical in nature. So you're not going to learn like a command and then have no use case for it. You're going to learn a command, and then I'm going to show you how it works with the new next command that I teach. With that being said, I'll see you in the next section where we break down history, and history is going to save you a lot of time. All right, see you there.